Instagram, or just simply just Shantae. Welcome to my weeknight show called Shantae's Analysis. If you want more, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel as Shantae Berry, or you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. I am Shantizi. So I am going to come to you with these coronavirus numbers because we're still in the midst of a raging pandemic. Even though we got through the most craziest and hectic election cycle, we are in the midst of a global pandemic that can probably last us all the way into the end of next year. So here we are. Global confirmed cases around 189 countries, because that's exactly where the coronavirus is, in 189 countries, including here at home in the USA. We are at 50,869,414 cases of COVID. The global death toll is sitting at 1,262,413. Here at home in the US, our confirmed cases have reached 10 million. So we're at 10,107,568 cases of COVID. So I'm going to read that number again. The US confirmed cases, infections of COVID-19 cases are 10,107,568. The death toll is almost at 240,000, about to reach 250,000, maybe towards the end of this month. 238,202. And as of today, we had new cases of COVID-19 at 105,000 new infections. That's included in that 10 million, over 10.1 million cases. And that was from the Johns Hopkins website. Now I'm on the New York Times COVID map. I'm reading that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Wagwan, Queen Lion. Oh, thank you. It's MAC lipstick. You can get it from Marshalls, or you can go to the MAC store yourself. But I went to Marshalls and they have it for $7.99. No, TJ Maxx. But TJ Maxx and Marshalls, they're the same goddamn thing. You can go there and you can go get the lipstick. It's $7.99. Now on to the US cases. We have Texas. As I said last night, Texas have reached over 1 million cases. They're the first state, and California is on that trajectory according to these numbers. Texas have 1,024,760. That's a lot. California has 985,405. Florida has 847,813. Thank you so much. New York has 536,933. And there's been cluster outbreaks in the outer boroughs because I live in Manhattan. So there's been cluster outbreaks in different boroughs in the city. That's what we call them, boroughs. Illinois, wow, has reached 500 cases. I'm pretty sure, maybe it's just a me thing, they're going to reach over New York. They may be the fourth state to surpass New York. And if it does, that's bad. Georgia, 392,246. North Carolina, 295,105. Wisconsin, 286,446. Tennessee, 282,746. Arizona, 260,646, which New Jersey is 258,000 cases, which they might be the 12th state with the largest cases because Ohio has 254, so I won't be surprised. And I won't be surprised if Illinois surpasses New York in terms of cases because they're 500. They have 36,000 less cases than New York has. And there might be another lockdown in this country. Certain states, I know my governor said there might be another lockdown. I won't be surprised if you lock the state down. that means that he got to coordinate with other states like Connecticut and New Jersey to do a lockdown. So New York locks down, that means New Jersey and Connecticut will lock down, because those are that's called the tri-state area. When they say the New York tri-state area, it's referred to New Jersey and Connecticut as well. So that is that. I want to see what other countries have rising cases, because the USA is not the only country that has over millions of cases, even though we have the most. But when you look at these other countries with high volume of cases, yeah, I saw that. I saw that. And I was just like, this is crazy. In Trump world, it's not looking good. He's already having a bad day. It's about to be a wrap. I'm about to address these 72 days. But you have India at 8.5. That's bad. You have Brazil at 5.6. You have France at 1.8, almost reaching 2 million. You have Russia at 1.7. You have Spain at 1.3, Argentina at 1.2, 1,250,499. You have United Kingdom at 1,216,747. You have Colombia at 1,149,064. And Mexico is about to reach, another country that's about to reach those millions. Everybody's having their third or second wave or their fourth wave, whatever wave they have. And I know the USA is actually in a third wave. I thought it was in a second wave, but other states had their bad wave in the Sun Belt states in the South and out West. So now all states have increasing numbers of COVID-19. So shit is real. And of course, as I always say, we have no national strategy. And I lose all hope. We don't have none. We won't have none until the next 72 days is over from the end of this residency, that's what I call it, because he resides there in the people's house who he only paid to $750. And speaking of MAGA going down to shits, the pastor Harry Jackson died. I think I have the yeah, shit is real and shit is bad. Yeah, absolutely, Elizabeth. So I'm going to pull up that article, and I think I'll read a little bit of it. I have a lot of tweets. I didn't realize I tweeted that much today. There we go. The bishop that passed away. So according to religiousnews.com, Bishop Harry Jackson of Maryland speaks at the unveiling of the Justice Declaration, a statement by Christian leaders on criminal justice in Washington, D.C. in 2017 photo right here. Yep, that's that photo. Bishop Harry Jackson Jr., a prominent conservative pastor and evangelical advisor to Donald Trump, has died, according to his church. Jackson, who is 66, he was my father's age, died Monday, according to the statement posted by the website of the Hope Christian Church in Beltsville, Maryland, where he was the senior pastor. It is with a heavy heart that we notify you that our beloved Bishop Harry R. Jackson Jr. has transitioned to be with the Lord on November 9, 2020. The statement read, "Please pray for the Jackson family comfort and respect their right to privacy at this time." The Reverend Ricardo Bowden, Chief of Staff of the Hope Christian Church, told Religious News Service that he did not know the cause of Jackson's death. "It's our divided society. Only the church can model unity," Jackson told RNS around the time of the Race and Reconciliation gather he spearheaded in Dallas in 2015 on the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. We must lead the way to erasing the disparities in U.S. education, our criminal justice system, and our urban economic development. As one of Trump's unofficial and evangelical advisors, Jackson visited the White House on numerous occasions and attended Trump's closing speech at this year's Republican National Convention. In late September, Jackson and a number of other faith leaders attended a White House ceremony where Associate Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett was announced as Trump's nominee to fill the seat vacant by the death of Justice Bader Ginsburg. That might be the reason why he was sick. Two faith leaders were among several people who attended that event and tested positive for the novel coronavirus, including Trump and the First Lady, Melania Trump. Jackson was also tested after the event, but his results were negative. The church told RNS in an early October voicemail. The same day as the Rose Garden ceremony, Jackson participated in the Franklin Grand Prayer March in D.C., and on November 1st, he held a town hall with Vice President Mike Pence at Hope Christian Church. He last spoke at the Hope Christian on Tuesday and at the church's midweek service. The church midweek service. In a video posted to his Twitter feed on Monday, Jackson gave a brief devotional based on the 100th song about the power of thankfulness. The idea that there is progression, he said in the video. It's like turning off the street into a gate of property. And then I asked God, it is talking about what God has done, how he has been faithful in the past. That often catapults me further into the manifold presence of God. Then it just keeps going on and on and on about him and everything else. But he basically died from coronavirus. He attended that COVIDpalooza event back in late September for Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Who's to say that her kids were asymptomatic, but then again, everybody at that event was sitting shoulder to shoulder. There were some senators like Mike Lee, Tom Tillis, Rob Portman. They caught the coronavirus. Chris Christie, who was at the hospital, caught the coronavirus. Melania Trump and, of course, Donald Trump caught it. There was 105 cases that broke out from that big COVID thing. I mean, I said a COVID thing. Well, that COVID celebration of Amy Coney Barrett. So pretty much, that's what happened to him. But to address the elections, there's still states that haven't been called. Georgia still haven't been called. Arizona hasn't still been called, even though they're leading into Joe Biden's favor. North Carolina hasn't been called, it's leading into Trump's favor. What else? Alaska hasn't been called and is leading up to Trump's favor. So those states are leading up to Trump's favor. Those two states, while other two states are leading into Joe Biden's favor. Either way, no matter if Donald Trump was to win all four of those states, if so, Joe Biden still won. And he's going to flip Georgia and he's going to flip Arizona. That'd be his 306, while Donald Trump has 232. Either way, Joe Biden flipped some states. It'll be 5 states he flipped. He flipped Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Well, Pennsylvania, he was born in Pennsylvania. He's Scrappy Joe for Scranton. It will be a grave insult for him to not win, not just his home state, but his birth state as well. But then again, Donald Trump didn't win his birth state, which is the state that I live in, that I'm from, which is New York, because we're both New Yorkers. Unfortunately, he's a New Yorker. He's a Queens boy. That's why you get all that shiesty, slick shit from that slick landlord, nasty, grifting ass motherfucker. That's the bad New York parts of New Yorkers that you don't want to see. But yeah, Joe Biden won his home state and his birth state. And most states up in the Northeast. I knew he was going to win my home state. Because Donald Trump is not liked in New York City. Never was. Not when he was a real estate mogul here. Not when he grew up in Queens. Nobody liked them. Nobody ain't like his father. They were like bums compared to the millionaires and the billionaires that basically ran the city. He will never be any of the Rockefellers. I can tell you that. Because the Rockefellers own everything in the city. Those are the people that own every goddamn thing. It's just like, god damn it. They own not just Chase Bank because they're the founders of Chase Bank. They own like other nonprofits, Rockefeller University, Rockefeller Philanthropist Advisors. They even have the Inter Church Center in Harlem. That's theirs too. Like they literally own everything, especially in Manhattan. They own every goddamn thing. Their name is like on everything. So those are the real millionaires and the billionaires. Well, the millionaires or the trillionaires because they have money. Unlike the Trumps. And they always had a financial issue. They always did. And I knew that from growing up here. I was like, why do their finances always shaky? Yeah. Huh? Yeah. The Donald Trump always been broke. Donald Trump's family, they never had all this money that they claim to have. Donald Trump has fucked up money 4 times. And it's been reported on the New York media news. That's why New Yorkers have warned the whole country back in 2016, no. And you find out the reason 4 years later. But I'm so glad that Joe Biden won. And more so, my girl, Kamala Debbie Harris, who I supported during the primaries. And trust me, I was not going to vote during the primaries after she left because I was so disheartened and I was so upset. I was like, I will watch this like an outsider. Then you see the primaries play out and the way it played out. I knew if Kamala Harris was not going to clinch the nomination, it damn sure wasn't going to be another woman. It wasn't going to be, definitely not Marianne Wilson. She was not a serious candidate. Not even Tulsi Gabbard. Not Amy Klobuchar. And definitely not Elizabeth Warren. They just wasn't going to clinch that nomination. If you rejected the one that almost had the nomination, why would you give it to them? And I knew something told me, yes, Bernie was winning and Pete was winning, but when it came to South Carolina, even though Jim Clyburn was responsible for delivering South Carolina for Joe Biden, Joe Biden has been, him and Kamala Harris and even Tom Steyer was doing the groundwork in South Carolina. Even though Tom Steyer, we still not forget, you stole data from Kamala Harris. But they were doing that groundwork. And Kamala did make it happen. She excited the Biden and Harris campaign. But people have predicted that for months. Because I knew if Kamala Harris was not going to clinch the nomination, which I had high hopes for, because I thought she was going to last longer, I knew it was going to be Joe Biden. And who's to say that Joe Biden was going to pick a woman? Because they kept asking him this shit for like since December, since she dropped out. Like since literally she dropped out. Joe, did you know that so-and-so dropped? I mean, they call him Vice President Biden. Vice President Biden, do you know? He's like, huh? What? And then when he said at that CNN debate on March 15th, he said, I am committed to picking a woman. And right there, I was like, Kamala Harris. Everybody was like so excited, like, oh, he's going to pick Elizabeth Warren. I said, he's going to pick Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris is the one that is the most qualified, the most liked, and has a relationship with the Bidens. I mean, she was Beau's friend, for crying out loud. They were both attorney generals. Beau was the attorney general for Delaware, and she was the attorney general for Maine, and they worked hand in hand together, especially with the mortgage crisis back in 2010. So, of course, like, that's a relationship right then and there. Yeah. They worked very closely together. And she was one of the only few people, even though she called out Joe Biden during the primaries, like at the first debate, she had nothing but respect for Joe Biden. It was Elizabeth Warren was the one that was the most disrespectful. And it's no shade to Elizabeth Warren, but this is real. She was the most disrespectful to Joe Biden. She was the one that got at him the most, saying he was running in the wrong primary. They would have played that shit all over again if she was on the ticket. She wouldn't excite the base enough on the ticket. Kamala Harris is the most joyful, as Amy Klobuchar said today, and the most very spirited person on the ticket. So it was great to see her, on this ticket. And I was so happy and so relieved. When I heard, I was like, say yes in the street. My mom called me. I was happy. So I'm very happy that she's going to be my Madam Vice President. So I'm very happy. And they're going to be the most cohesive team. They already put together, the COVID task force team, actual doctors. They're going to keep Dr. Fauci around and Dr. Birx around. Yep, remember what Joe said. Joe said when he was Barack Obama's vice president, Barack Obama said, I want you to be the last person in the room and tell me the truth. And Joe Biden's doing the same thing with Kamala Harris. They're going to make each other better leaders, like how Barack Obama and Joe Biden made each other better leaders. It's like the Obama administration again. Just this time, there's a woman, a Black and Southeast Asian woman from Oakland. So, yeah, this is going to be exciting. And Kamala Harris has knowledge about what's going on. And yes, there is good scientists there. This cabinet, I'm just going to talk about it later on, like tomorrow or in the week. But the cabinet people already throwing out conspiracies and shit. We have 72 days. Donald Trump has not conceded yet. Today, he fired his Secretary of Defense, Mike Esper, even though Mike Esper has sent out his resignation from what I heard. But the fact is that he fired him in a tweet was just plain dumb. Why would you fire somebody that hardly ever challenges you? You're already doing damage. So if he did this shit today, I can imagine what the next couple weeks will be. And I'm pretty sure they're not going to pass no COVID relief because, like I said, I have no hope for that. He's going to mess up everything and is going to hinder Joe Biden from doing what he needs to do with the transition. It's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. I don't see that happening. Even though Joe Biden don't care. Donald Trump never accept defeat. But this time, he's going to have to accept it. Because recounts, they don't go well. Oh, nice, Elizabeth. That's awesome. I never went to that other side of the country, never visited the other side of the country, but I would love to one of these days. But, yeah, recounts don't go so well. Al Gore can tell you that. But the difference between Al Gore and Donald Trump, Al Gore actually won more of the popular vote than George Bush did. But he accepted the defeat later on, even though it took him years to recover. Donald Trump did not win the full popular vote. He got more votes than he did in 2016, which I don't understand why. But he didn't get as much of the popular vote as Joe Biden. Joe Biden got 4 million more votes than Donald Trump, and still counting. Joe Biden almost got 76 million in popular vote, and Georgia wasn't even counted yet. Georgia, no, Arizona. Joe Biden almost had like a quarter of 100 million votes, and that's a lot. And it's all because of black women. 91% of us. 91. 80% of black men, but 91% of black women. And I'll add the Latinas, 70% of them. The Native American population was about over 90% of them as well. 90%, like a good 90%. Don't know the exact number, but it was higher than a Latino vote. So to answer your question, he will never accept defeat. But he's going to learn today, as they say. And the sergeant of arms, I guess that's what they are. They will escort him out. Oh, trust. And Biden don't really need his help. He really don't need Donald Trump's help because Joe Biden knows how to do this job. He's been the vice president. So I'm pretty sure now as a president, and he watched what his boss did and stuff that he done, know exactly what to do. Kamala Harris is also going to be repairing relationships across the country. They got work to do. COVID, foreign relations, race relations, constitutional crisis. They got a handful. Climate change. They got a handful of shit to do. And as Jim Clyburn said on Joy tonight, he did say, and I repeat, if Joe Biden has to put out executive orders, then he has to do that. And he's all for it. And I agree. Wholeheartedly. With the Paris Accord, with rescinding Trump's nasty, tacky immigration policy, I'm all for it. And DACA. So yeah. Hands down. And also, just some more of a COVID news, Ben Carson caught COVID. He went to a party and thought that he was invincible, but you're a neurosurgeon. No matter what kind of doctor you are, why would you do that? But I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Not surprised with the fuckery from this administration. But I'm about to end this soon. I didn't want to be here too long, but I wish these progressive and moderates would not give me a headache for the last 3 days or the last 24, 48 hours with their infighting. It's becoming annoying. We just won the presidency, the Democrats. We may have lost 4 congressional seats, but we still hold a majority in Congress, in one chamber of Congress. And we almost can clinch the Senate. I wish these fucking progressives will cut their shit. And the moderates are accepting their losses, but I wish these progressives would stop their shit. Because their message did hurt red state moderates. It did. It truly did. It was a gut punch. Because where they were running at was Trump country. Saying that, oh, they shouldn't ran. They knew what they were running for. They shouldn't. First of all, you can't tell people what they can and can't do. Nobody telling y'all how to run y'all races. So why are you telling red state moderate Democrats how to run their state? That's stupid. That's dumb. Like, I'm so sick. And I'm so sick of the progressive pundits, too. Because they working on my last nerve, too. And been working on my last nerve since 2016. Really been working on my nerve. And I wish they would shut the fuck up sometimes, too. But, yeah. Working on my every goddamn last nerve. Ro Khanna, halfway working on my nerve, too. Talking about London, talking about he wants to see Barbara Lee or Karen Bass. They just won their congressional races. They're not going anywhere. They like to be in Congress. They never expressed being in the Senate. Because if they wanted to be in the Senate, they would have been in the Senate a long time ago. They would have been in the Senate and try to out Dianne Feinstein. And they did not do that. Or Barbara Boxer at the time. And when Barbara Boxer left, they could have ran against Kamala then. And they didn't do it because they have respect for Kamala. They love Kamala. Especially Barbara Lee. So who should have that Kamala seat should be Mayor London Breed. Because you know why? Mayor London Breed was one of the first mayors during this pandemic, before it got out of control, to do a lockdown and encourage her governor to do a statewide lockdown. She collaborated with 6 other mayors to do a lockdown in the Bay, a shelter in place, before shelter in place became the new norm in the USA. In some parts of the USA, because not all states did a lockdown. So she was a leader at that. So she would make a damn good senator. And you need someone that's a rising star in the Democratic Party. You don't need progressives. We have enough progressives. Some of them run, some of them in the the House, and some probably in the Senate. One of my senators is progressives. But that's just my take on it. But until then, because I am tired and I am thirsty, because I'm parched, you guys have a good night. Stay safe and stay blessed.